Good, excellent. Right. I'm sorry. Okay, so now we have Adam. Hi, Adam. And then we have everyone else, my mother, my sister, of course, my favorite, Pastor Gina and Pastor Adeline. All right, hi, everybody, and good evening. Um, I was supposed to wear my glasses and then I couldn't see. So funny, but anyways. All right, so just to tell you a little bit, my name is Lee Kim and I'm a host of the Paranormal Zone. And the Paranormal Zone was airing and broadcasted on the Sci-Fi Channel, which is part of the NBC Universal Group. So that's a little bit of history. So let's go straight into this episode. So let me first tell you. Hi everyone. Hi Beatrix. Hi everybody. Okay. Let me go into this episode. Okay. So first of all, it was my pilot, first episode, season 1. And we picked up to start with this story because of the ghost child. And during the entire research and everything, it was great to actually find Master Sifu Allen. He was very helpful. But here was the thing. Originally, the plan was he would show me how people invoke the ghost child, and there was no plan to have a real fetus. So, lucky me, what happened was a lady in the morning before my crew and I arrived. There's this lady who obviously had a ghost child. She returned it and she told Master Sifu Allen, please get rid of it. Master Sifu Allen wasn't the master who gave her that, but she couldn't, it was running out of control. So she brought it back to be sent away, which is what ended up the whole episode was about. And we actually had a live fetus. And it was really funny because I could feel it nibble on my finger, the finger. And I was like, whoa, and it was very funny because after I touched the fetus, this part was not in the episode. Master Sifu Allen told me, don't touch myself after touching the fetus, don't, especially my stomach area. So I was thinking, oh, how weird is that, right? Anyways, and then, oh, there's one thing we didn't show you. This is really behind the scenes, and it really was kind of creepy. Remember, he was talking about the oil that's collected from dead bodies, from the corpse, and those from the face and things like that. It was funny. That little bottle and the bigger bottle was actually kept inside, not where we were sitting. And really, when he brought out this bottle of dead body corpse oil, there was a trip. There was an electrical trip. It just blacked out. I mean, the whole house went no electricity. And so we were like, oh, okay, whatever, coincidence, electricity, it happens, right? It trips. And then next thing you know, we're like, okay, fine. So we pushed back, reset the trip button, the distribution board, or whatever they call it. And then it tripped again. The minute he talks about the oil, it trips again. So it was really quite creepy. So anyways, let me see. What questions do you guys have? Adam, you typed something about umantong. You have one? Planning to have one? Can I say don't have one? Why do I say that? Because kumantong, from what I learned when I did my episodes in Thailand, is they are also using the same theory, which is the spirit, so-called the energy, or the energy of a dead baby gets put into this kumantong things and making kumantong. Let me see. What does a toil look like? Pastor Gina, a toil does not look like Jason. Anyways, didn't see a Toyo in this episode, but I am told you actually don't see them because they're very, very small. They're very, very small. And uh, it has been, I was told, I mean, that they appear and they take your money, but when you look under the table and try to find them, they're so small that you actually don't see them. Look good. And kumantong, I don't know if they are exactly the same thing. Um, in terms of its appearance, I believe that different countries, different cultures, they would carve it out kind of differently. But yes, they are normally kind of small. Okay, I guess the similarities in a Toyo and a Guai I would say that it comes from the motivation. Um, these kind of spells or curses, you want to call it, or invoking or in a spirit into a vehicle, may it be a carved bone or a coffin or whatever it is. Um, uh, sorry, the similarities is it has that energy. It takes from dead fetus and they invoke it in so that it energizes them. And there is a common similarity that they need to be fed blood. Even the Guai Zai has that. They need to be fed with the blood of the master, similarly with the toil. And normally the intention of their work or their purpose is not one that is good. It's not one that is based on kindness. It's basically uh, the coming of a Guai Zai or the coming of a Toil is from the intentions of man, from greed and power. Uh, mm, Grace, I had that question. And see, uh, in even in Thailand and in Malaysia and in most of Asia, they do use babies and children. Um, and normally is the child is lost through a miscarriage or an abortion or something like that. But why specifically, I don't know. Maybe it is from my from what I have gathered through the time and working with it, is because a baby is as pure as it can be. It doesn't have, it's pure. Its life hasn't even begun yet because it's still in a fetus and all. It has not been born to a baby who is going to grow up and everything. So when they take the spirit of a dead child or fetus, they want to call it, um, it is, I guess, as innocent and as pure as possible for the spell to work, for the curse to work, for the greed and the and the negative and ill intentions to work, because the fetus is innocent. It doesn't have, you know, it can be influenced. It can absorb all this stuff that you want it to do, and then they will inject it or they put it into this, items. Pastor Elena, not that. No, actually, no. From what I have learned through the years and talking about this kind of curses and spells, no, they're never done for positive reasons. I mean, mm, I mean, I am a fan of vanity, I go and see, this and try to get this done and that. I mean, I am not going to get a toil to look good or, get a guai zai, call them a beauty guai zai, even though there's 60 different guai zais for different functions and purposes. I don't think I'm going to go and get one. So for looking good. Um, so I think that they're not, then there's no positive motivation. Imagine the karma though. Think about it. Imagine the karma. First, you don't let the soul of a baby who has died to rest. You take it and you put in the spells and the curses. You inject it with the negative motivations so that it steals for you, so that it controls for you. And so, and then on top of that, the mother who lost the child doesn't know that this has happened. For me, the accumulation of negative karma is horrible. It's horrible. Uh, can these themselves can the can these themselves from their master? Uh, do we mean whether they can release themselves from the master? Um, no, not that I know, not that I have learnt. Normally, the master needs to give it away, or the master needs to transfer ownership, like what the professor had said, to the next person. There are certain practices with the toil whereby the first master and the new master and the toil have a transfer of blood, meaning the new master passes it on by cutting a bit and to the new master, and the new master feeds the toil. Okay, um, so that's how you hand it over in that way. If I've answered your question, um, yes, Joy, definitely. These unfortunate little ones that have that have died because of miscarriage or abortion, or for whatever reasons they have not lived to the full term of the pregnancy. Yes, they are of course taken unwillingly to be doing all these things. The master said that the infant spirit has now left. Did he explain more about what he meant by that? Okay, Pastor Shin, I think you meant after the prayers, right? Yes. Um, Special prayers, of course, by these masters. I can't say I know how to do them. Um, the prayers are for the soul of the baby to ask it to leave that physical fetus. So when I think this is in relation to my question towards the end of the episode when I asked Master Sifu Ellen, now that the fetus placed in a box is floating down the river, what if someone picks it up at lower down the river, at the end of the river, or something like that? And is there still the curse and the power of this Guai Zai? And based on what I understood, no, it doesn't. The person who picks it up now after the prayers is just going to receive an empty fetus in a box. Um, the, uh, the spirit has already left with the prayers. Um, I have been told that once a person gets their Guai Zai, which has already gone through all the spells and all the stuff, everything, they bring the Guai Zai back and they have to dedicate a room for the Guai Zai to sleep in. And Master Sifu Allen had mentioned that it actually will grow. So, but it doesn't become the size of a full human, it will grow. So you prepare a bed or a baby cot in a room that is dark. You lay the Guai Zai inside there, and at the foot of the Guai Zai, there is a photo of the master, and also something like a perfume that will give a scent of the master, so that the Guai Zai will recognize this is the scent of the master, and that is the photo of the master. Um, and then, of course, they will go and do all the biddings and do all the stuff. And I was also told, and I learned this, that after 7 years of rearing a guai zai, the guai zai needs to be terminated because at that time, around 7 years being your guai zai or your slave in service of bad deeds, they actually end up taking control of your life. There have been stories where people return the guai zai because the guai zai starts to control what's happening in the household. There was a woman who had a guai zai, and her function of the guai zai was to control her husband so that her husband doesn't go and do wonderful things outside of the home. Um, and so what happened was when she made love or had sex with her husband, the guai zai being in another room could feel it and didn't like it. And after a while, the guai zai became jealous and was actually starting to harm the husband. So at this point, I was told this lady had returned or to terminate the guai zai. And this was when she had the guai zai for about 4 years. It's pretty scary stuff. There's stories of Toil and guai zai taking revenge on them. No, I've not heard of the guai zai or Toils coming back to take revenge on their masters. Um, but I did hear that Toils are actually, I mean, if you ask for my personal opinion after learning about Toils and guai zais, even though the method of getting them activated is about spirits of, from the spirit from a baby or from a fetus that is brought to life with negative deeds, um, uh, the toil does not sound as malicious and as vindictive as a guai zai. In fact, I heard from Professor, if you have instructed the toyo to take only 50 or to steal only $50, there could be a stack there that is maybe $1,000. They will only take $50. And so, I mean, to me, that's a bit unusual. Um, the history of toils, I don't know specifically like the history of toils of guai zais per se, but in Thailand what I learned was um, it was used to control, to get things uh, for the master, and the the motivation of how it all started, these kind of spells, this kind of, I guess, a form of magic, a form of black magic, and something like that. These kind of spells, the origins, how long ago, I can't tell you specifically, but it has not changed. People who do this, people who engage masters or bommos or whatever they're called to actually do this kind of bad deeds don't come from any good intention at all. And uh, in Thailand, it's actually also quite scary and gruesome. I heard that they would literally, if the fetus is not of natural death, meaning miscarriage or abortion, if it's not of that form of death, um, in Thailand, I was told that they will literally take a pregnant mother, alive and kicking, and cut open her stomach and take out the baby. Okay, I've heard of such actions that were practiced in Thailand, which is why a certain practice like kumantong and things like that, the traditional way of getting a kumantong is completely illegal because they would literally cut open a pregnant woman and rip out the baby and then wait for the mother to die and then take the oil, the surface oil of the dying of the dead body, take the surface oil and the face oil, just like what you saw earlier um, with the oils of Master Sifu Allen, because apparently dead body oil is already very powerful. The dead body oil of a mother, a pregnant woman, is even more powerful. Yeah. Uh, from what I from what I have gathered, the toil is like a, I guess you would say like having your own evil child. It needs praises and it needs to be fed. And normally with blood, so you would prick your finger and then just let the toils suck on it. Yeah. So I guess that pleases the toil. So similarly, if they don't get the blood and don't get praised, that would displease the toil. Yeah. I know it's really scary, and I think the reason why it's extra scary for us and we hate to listen to such things is simply because it involves a fetus, it involves a baby, it involves a life, a very innocent life, So that it really gets to us, and to imagine a pregnant woman being slashed open just to take out that baby and kill it so that they can use the body and do stuff with it. It's very scary. Um, are there any more questions? I like what you said, Pastor David. Scary, Mary. Okay, did I miss anything? Carmen, you said which episode was the most scary for me? Actually, don't know. I like cemeteries, so that wasn't scary. Um, I've touched the fetus. I've seen black magic. I've had. Mm, I've even had. I've even seen animal whisperers. Yeah, scariest. I guess I would say that when you learn about things like this that happens, paranormal things like this that happens, and you find that it happens because of the motivation of man, human beings. I don't want to say man just like that in case you guys say I'm a sexist and only men are evil. No, 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 no. That's not what I'm saying. Humankind. Um, when you learn that evil things are done because it origins from the motivation of a human being, I think that's very scary. I think that knowing black magic exists, knowing that these spells exist, is not as scary as knowing that there are people who would actually use it and harm another person. A person would use this kind of spells and magic to gain wealth, greed, and power. I think that's very scary. So if that's what scares me, then there's a little bit of that in a lot of my episodes where the source of evil is from the human being's intention. So like I said, you want to fall in love, go do it. You get dumped, you get dumped. Don't send a curse to somebody. Um, you want to get rich, work hard. Network, mix with the right people, mix with the people who inspire you, mix with people who are your guardian angels, mix with people who can help you. Study hard. Seize every opportunity. Don't go, get a fetus and get a spell on it and get a master involved and whatever involved and then achieve your goals that way. Yeah. So, what else? Oops. Pastor Adeline. Okay. Why do you choose this topic as the first episode of the Paranormal Zone? All right, I'm gonna make this one the last question because this question brings me back to the very beginning. Um, we had a, we had the person who started with me as my research person was Wendy, and she was great. She was great in looking for these kind of stories. Um, there were three stories she had proposed. One had to do with going to the cemetery and listening as to understanding the ambience and seeing whether we can pick up and hear things and stuff like that. And then there was another one about a haunted house, right? I mean, we covered all this later on. And then, of course, there was the ghost child. And for some reason, when she was briefing me about these to me to start running for the pilot, for some reason, um, maybe because I'm a mom, when I heard about it, it just it just got to me, and I said, you know what? Let's just start the first episode of the first season of the Paranormal Zone with something that I can relate to, because it was the first time for me filming and television and all these cameras. It was the first time for me. You know, the Paranormal Zone is the first TV series I've ever hosted. And I figured, okay, it's going to be hard. I'll probably forget my lines. I'll probably forget my points. I'll probably forget everything. So I thought, why not choose a subject that relates to children, for the cruelty to the baby fetus. And that kind of just got me, and I thought, okay, let's start with the subject that I can relate to, or I'm inspired by. Yeah. Okay, so I think it's been 30 minutes, including I think I've made up for the time when you saw all my technical glitch. And hi, Julian. Did you just come on? Oh my God. Imagine if I was on time, I would have been finished by now. That's my son. Yeah. Maybe he's a white guy, I didn't know. All right, so don't forget, next week, same time, 9 p.m. Thursday, we're going to be watching an episode on space exorcism. So if sometimes you guys feel, oh, how come this place feels funny, my hair stand, my leg stand, my nose stand, well, you can understand about space, and also how do we clean space, how do we manage space against the energies that are negative, against spirits and ghosts. Okay. Also, please don't forget the Halloween contest. I've had some stories submitted. Maybe I need to repeat it. The story needs to be one that is your own personal experience. You can't exactly send me YouTube links of other people's story. So that's not your story. I want to hear from you about your story. Okay, so some clarification there. And also, initially when I launched the Halloween contest, there was a problem when you guys were using mobile devices. You couldn't click on it, or you couldn't click on the link, you couldn't see it. Well, my dear friend whom I've harassed, Angela, has fixed it. So now when you use mobile devices, you actually can click on it and you can see about how to join the Halloween contest. And we've also added, in case some people are video shy, camera shy, you can now submit your stories by writing in to an email, tpzstories@gmail.com. All the information is on my page. Now you can click it from a mobile device, from a laptop, anything, and you can get all the information you want. Okay? So, thanks. Oh, I'll see you next Thursday, 9 p.m. And what I'm going to do is, because I have this karma to be a really, really fantastic technical person, I might actually go live 5 minutes before. And please don't go live 5 minutes before. Just go live at 9:30 so that I can mess up by myself. Yeah? Okay? So I'll see you next week, 9 p.m. We're going to watch Space Exorcism. And then a live chat. Okay? Good night. And again, thank you very much for tuning in. And now we go.
OBS.
I know, I'm finding it. Alrighty then. Good night.